All right, the Grand Forks County Commission of January 7th, 2025, come to order. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing is the approval of the minutes. So they'll have a minute takeover. Take a look at the minutes.
Approval. Second.
First and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Let's see. Approval of order of agenda. Anybody want to?
Move.
Have a second?
I just wanted to add that one level gratitude piece.
Oh,
right
yeah,
at the
why
beginning.
don't you just go ahead and do that? But
Can I do that right now?
go ahead.
So I like to point out, job well done, and recently we had quite a stint without our county administrator who was very significant medical. And somebody really stepped up in his absence, that's Gracie Leon. I want to basically say bravo to you. Anything that was needed, you handled with absolute poise. And so for me personally, I don't speak on behalf of everybody, but personally, well done, Natalie. That was, you really stepped up and did a hell of a job.
All right. You do the approval of the agenda?
I move approval of order.
Second, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Designate parliamentarian. Not sure what that is. Yeah, I don't, but I don't know who's supposed to take it over. Up to you.
I move Haley Wamstead,
Okay.
parliamentarian over the county commission. Second.
All right, we have a first and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move approval of Robert's rules of order for the rules we run meetings.
I'll second.
Can I clarify it? I'm not talking Bob's rules of order, I'm talking Robert's rules of order.
All right, we have a first and a second, right, did I hear that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously. All right, approval of consent agenda. Bills, employee status changes over time. Theme of chance permit for the Forks Junior Rifle Club, beer licenses, liquor licenses for Larimore Golf Club and the county gate. Motion to approve that.
Objection, I move approval.
Second.
We have a first and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved unanimously. All right, Grand Forks County Human Service Zone Board appointment.
Good afternoon. I'm Tammy Knudsen, the Director of Grand Forks County Human Service Zone. I'm here to make a request that Teresa Hug is her time on our board expired at the end of December. I would like to have her reappointed to the Human Service Zone Board. I do have the support of my board members with respect to her continued appointment on our board.
Do we have a motion to?
I make the motion.
Thanks, Lonnie. Motion.
Second the motion.
Thanks, Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously. All right, thank you. Like she's on again. All right, tax equalization director.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I have 3 items for you today, 2 of which need action. The third does not.
Yeah.
The first is the cancellation of uncollectible mobile home taxes. I'm sure you've all read through this, so I won't read my letter to you, but do you have any questions about it? If not, I would ask that the attached list of uncollectible mobile home taxes be canceled.
Move.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously.
The second item is I would like to fill my vacant position, which is a real estate appraiser.
Again, you have my documentation. Have any questions about that?
Well, good job. I appreciate that. I cited, I got HR came up with a form that looks really good, so nope, that's exactly what we're looking for.
Okay, great.
So I
Move
appreciate it.
approval. Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously.
And the third is just to let you know that we will not be increasing in land values. That is for your information. At this point, we'll approve all the values at county board of equalization. Thank you.
All right, county engineer.
He's on vacation, so pretty self-explanatory. The bid came in really good. And the county's, he said he's ready to go, it's needed, so if there's any other questions, I'll move approval.
So is your motion this what's stated on the?
Yeah, to accept to approve the Serena construction bid and then do DOT resolution and for the chair and auditor signatures, yes.
Okay,
Second.
we got a first and a second. Is there any discussion? It's not, all those in favor,
Aye.
opposed, that's unanimously. 2025 legislative priorities. Basically.
Chair Hagan, members of the board. So, we had discussed last time about bringing in the human service zone and getting the director to kind of, give a high level understanding of how that'll operate, but just couldn't align schedules. She was on vacation for a while. And so I think that would either need to be, we're working to try to find the right time to schedule to make sure that they can be in attendance either here or at a special separate meeting conversation. So that the human service zone piece of things. The other part is the public health legislative priority, which you'll find on page 3. And I would then turn it to Tess Wall and her staff if you want to talk about that.
Karen Hagan, members of the commission, we're happy to provide more context on the request of support to include this public health on-site water systems issue that we hope comes before the legislature as this directly impacts workings within the county. My colleague Jake Anderson, environmental health supervisor, is handing out a reference document, and he's here to provide more detail around the nuances of the proposed legislation.
Sure, again, commissioners, thank you for having me today. Let me speak on this part. My name is Jake Anderson. I'm the environmental health manager for the groundwater health department. My role was to protect public health, support growth, and save money. So today I'm here to request support for the state on statewide septic code. As the session develops, fortunately, there's no bill to present right now. I can't take up the content whatsoever. As this legislative session was kicked off today. But it would be for standardizing licensing, contractor training, counties, Lisbon County Institute for Public Health, handling infections, and enforcement. It's important to note that this portal is not for the raise taxes on the local authority. Instead of still protecting natural resources, preserving attractive values, and destroying economic growth. While saving money in the long term. So I think it's kind of pertinent to kind of just look back before we jump forward into some of the reasons why this would be a good practical, cost-effective legislative priority of our legislation. So this kind of comes back to 2019. The governor kind of designated a team to kind of chart a path forward to adopt a state level code that led to from 2021 to a committee developed to oversee all septic regulation in the state. And then 2023, that they developed two bills, House Bill 2253 and Senate Bill 2256, which attempted to include installer regulations, training, certifications, and then streamline oversight, but both of those failed to advance. Ultimately, I think that was just some disagreements in both. I think it was what really go forward with that. So these efforts clearly show that I'm bringing for consistent standards. It would reduce cost, encourage growth, and protect water quality. Some of the reasoning, specific reasoning behind supporting this. I used to do septic installation and septic evaluation for our department. And some of the biggest things that I heard frequently from contractors, one of the biggest complaints was, say you're an installer and you want to go county to county or work cross county within the state, you would likely have to buy an installer's license in each or in more than one county, which is obviously a huge cost, not only to the installer, but the property owner. And then with that, you have to abide by their version of this, of a uniform code that was developed in 2015. So very efficient, creates a lot more red tape. By adopting or creating a proactive code, it would more or less fix these gaps and prevent, any public health emergencies down the road, ahead of time. So the other piece with that is a lot of times, and just speaking from experience, older family septic systems block home loans, or they lower property values, or they can delay home sales. That's a fact that, an unfortunate fact that I had to deal with. A statewide septic code ensures that systems are designed, installed, and inspected to industry standards. Obviously, this would increase the red tape by ensuring compliance and checking investments along the way. So, again, Chair Hagan and commissioners, protect natural resources, preserving property values, and encouraging smart growth are priorities we all share as we grow the funding. Statewide code is practical, cost effective. It would save money, prevent costly emergencies, and support development growth. I urge you to support this legislative priority. I will stand for any questions.
I have one. So this legislation, what would this do for individuals that may have an out of date or not up to code system, but it's currently functioning in the way it was designed when it was put in? We're not gonna go around and make people take on expenditures that they weren't anticipating with the passage of this, will we?
No, I should think that question. This would be for all new development. So unless it was posing a public health hazard, I don't want to say they would grandfather in, but we wouldn't be involved with it. So
what constitutes a public health hazard on the sides?
if there's ponding on the ground or it's seeping in the groundwater, if there's like adjacent wells or aquifers that are being contaminated, you have to investigate that.
That's all clearly defined.
It will be, for sure, absolutely.
I have more than a few questions.
Okay.
Number one, on this, you just gave us this, have not adopted new code. Is that the code from 2015 you referenced to?
Yes, thank you for sure. I can explain that. So that's actually, it is outdated, because when this thing kind of kicked off in the state in 2019, they created that map. That's from 2020. So that was based on the 2015 uniform code that was developed in collaboration with PEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, local health, and then on-site installers within the state. So they put that out. They did their research. It's all evidence-based. They put that code out there, but some counties, as you can see, the yellow counties adopted it, orange counties adopted it partially with some adjustments, because you can always be more restrictive, not less restrictive. And then the gray hasn't adopted anything. So like I had mentioned earlier, if you want to work cross county, or you want to work throughout the state, you're going to be buying a lot of different installer permits, installer licenses, excuse me.
Okay, my question though is, Grand Forks County has not adopted it, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. As I go on the departments, I'll know more, but for right now, who decides that in Grand Forks County? Who would bring that forth for an approval? Would it be planning and zoning? Or you?
Me and then in industrial lane.
Okay. Okay, so why didn't we adopt it?
Because their Lane has his own program, and he's on one on the there's a state, an old antiquated code, which has been updated since 1999, and he's utilizing that. He's utilizing that for his septic installations. So we separated our program area from his program area based on township zoning. So he does everything in the rural county or outside outside of the city that doesn't have an inter-city, agreement with us. So like Inkster, like. I'm trying to think of other cities. Inkster, there's a couple other, there's a lot of other cities that Grand Forks County that we would be the entity to design the system within the city, but leaving it without township zoning, like. But has,
Okay, so the house is out in the county, not in the city.
yes,
Who inspects those?
that would be lane.
Okay, so that's us, that, the county.
Yes.
Okay, and so we inspect them and we've chosen not to go with the code. Here's my concerns. Number one, we lose local control. If we go with the state mandate, then we don't have recourse. We have to do what they say. Then becomes the potential for an unfunded mandate. They're gonna say, this is what you have to do. So it's not necessarily cheaper. It could be more expensive to the home. Also, do we have any knowledge in Grand Forks County where there are issues because of septic systems? Where there's, and of course, there's gonna be something, but it might happen here or there, but in general, are we being infested with septic issues across the county? Where the systems are getting into the groundwater or they're raw sewage, et cetera?
Thank you for that, Commissioner. There are instances for sure that we have been made aware of in the last 2 to 3 years. Yes, and we have to work through those, but it's not an easy fix. It's not an overnight fix, because sometimes when these things fail, the county's gonna be on the hook for it, or the property owner's gonna be on the hook for it. It's not, I mean, a lot of times the property owners don't have the money to foot the bill for this, so there's a lot of brainstorming, problem solving to get these things up to code, or not up to code, but to function, and not proposing a public operations.
I have a septic system. If it goes down, that's my problem. But if I have to replace it,
Right.
I call the people, they come fix it. And I would write the check, other people would probably borrow the money. But I mean, it's your property, right?
Absolutely, unless you're failing to do that, unless you're failing to take the action that you need to take on your own property, then it becomes a public health.
Right, and that's when but you could step in then, and there's resources, I don't mean money, but I mean, you would have the ability from the health department to issue whatever you need to issue, because it then become a public health hazard, nuisance, whatever word you're using nowadays. And so because I saw that in the city, because I have feelings. And so in general, I'm just, Lane's not here apparently. So I'm concerned about this before we approve this. Because if it goes through, then we're done. And then the state controls us. I would like I would like us to study more, find out what's going out. Because, if you're in the city, you're not affected by this. There's less people affected by this. So before we do this, the septic systems are not cheap. I just want to make sure we know what we're doing here, because I know you're talking about the grandfather, but I'm just saying that I'm concerned about this. And if they have to get a couple extra licenses, once again, I'm the capitalist, that's on the person with the septic system in there to do it. So Lane, are you there? Hello, Lane. So I would really want to hear from him and have more of a discussion before we approve this. We're early in the session. We don't have to do this tonight. Even if we go on this road, even if I were to support it, we have time. I am opposed to doing this tonight, and I would like this to be brought back on. I want Lane here, and I want some discussion on the ramifications of this before we endorse it. So that's.
Unmuted.
It sounds like he unmuted his, if you wanna go ahead and.
Oh, are you there, Lane?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Sure. What's your question, Commissioner Bierke?
Well, I just want to know before, see, if we haven't adopted this code now, and now we're jumping into where we want the state to do it. I guess I want to know your line of reasoning why we want to go, if you're there, I don't know where you're at on this. Why you want to go from, we haven't approved it to now we want the state to mandate it.
Well, currently, we are enforcing state plumbing code regulation. So we are going with state plumbing code. I guess I haven't seen exactly what they're proposing. As far as how that differs from state plumbing code. My main concern is to the installers, if we're going above and beyond state plumbing code, I would like to be able to explain to them why, what the, there's got to be some type of science behind it before we change the rules and regulations. But I guess I'd be open to doing something I don't have a problem with it being uniform statewide. It's just I need to be able to tell the installers why things are changing and what they're changing to.
So I'll go back to that point. I want a little more time on this one. And, Mr. Lena, Ms. Max, I'd appreciate if we could put this on the agenda for next time. And if you to be here in person and you to do some research on this and you can talk to the health department. I just want to make sure before we go down this road, we know what's at the end of the road.
Absolutely, that's no problem.
Okay, thank you. And so that's where I'm at on that. I'd rather hold this for 2 weeks. I don't know if I need to make a motion to table this for 2 weeks or whatever you want to do. Because I love my Robert's Rule of Orders.
I support finding out all the details as well.
Okay, well, I would move on this one on the on-site wastewater systems that we table this for 2 weeks.
Right,
That has to be second and voted on.
we have to table it and move it.
We have to second and vote on the table to the table.
I'll second that we delay it by 2 weeks.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any other discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, posting the agenda on the city's website and supporting document. Mr. Beardy, are you?
Okay.
setting this up too?
Absolutely, I'm ready. I've got a motion ready. The first one has to do with posting the agenda with supporting documents. And here's the motion. The county administrator is directed to work with the appropriate county staff to put the agenda with the supporting documents on the county website beginning on Friday, January 17th, 2025 for the January 21st, 2025 commission meeting. It's my understanding that everything goes out on Friday, so that way a citizen will be able to look at this information Friday, Saturday, what could be better on a Sunday afternoon and to read our agenda and documents Monday up to Tuesday at 4 o'clock. This isn't a transparency, so they get to see what we see. So that's what that's the motion.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Further discussion on this topic? All right, all those in favor of the motion? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. And broadcasting the Newport County Commission meetings live.
I've got this one ready too. The county administrator directed to work with the appropriate county staff to begin broadcasting all county commission meetings effective January 21st, 2025. That's the motion.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion? I do have a question.
Okay.
Are we able to do that? Like the streaming capability is there?
Madam Chair, yes, the short answer is yes. We did it during the pandemic when the meetings were strictly virtual. We were able to do it.
Just want to make the-
And I also want to clarify too is part of the I've already talked to this before, it's part of the 2025 budget. If necessary, we need to have a system, then that should be included in the 2025 system. If we need to upgrade technology, whatever we have to do, we can get by this for now, doing it this way, but if we want to look at it doing a way better, we could work on that as part of the 2026 budget, which we work on in 2025.
Very good.
Okay?
All right, so we have a first and a second. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
4-1. Commissioner, Peach. No. I thought so. Should she say, thank you? Oh, was it delayed? I apologize.
Commissioner Peach, were you delayed or were you in aye?
No, I said aye.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It was just delayed a second. Okay, so I'll.
No problem.
Unanimously. Right. We'll take on number 14 county department evaluation.
Yes. Yeah, I think pretty much everybody at this row of tables is well aware of the financial situation that this county is in. And with that being said, this idea is not born out of some whim, it's born out of necessity. This is a dollar and cents recommendation. The county does not forecast very well long-term, functionally by any metric. It is true that the intention of the original expansion of the jail was to expand the space of operations in its current form. And we probably could use that space, especially at times. But the bottom line is that we don't have the ability to afford it or staff it. I think we're faced with an opportunity to bring a highly needed resource to Grand Forks County when it comes to mental health and substance abuse services, while simultaneously relieving our budget from the standpoint of both our bond payment and our ongoing staffing needs, both of which are over $1 million annually. Or just the expanded portion of the jail, that is. Furthermore, we can join the vast majority of the rest of the counties of the nation and state and combine our sheriff's department and jail into one department. This is not a novel concept, as everyone in this room, I'm sure, is aware. This is how most jails and sheriff's departments operate. We are the outlier. We need to look to save money by improving efficiencies, duplication of services, transport, additional staff that might be kind of doing a similar job for both departments. And furthermore, I have the utmost confidence in our sheriff, Mr. Andy Schneider, and his ability to take on additional responsibility, place the right people in the right positions, whether they're currently occupying those positions or whether they're additional staff. I plan to propose this in 2 motions. If I in fact receive a second on one or both, we can have a robust discussion and debate. But I'll put my motions on the table now. Motion number 1, I move to consolidate the Grand Forks County Jail to be under the control of the Sheriff's Office and effective January 15th, fully understanding that we will need to be nimble during the initial transition period with the formation of an advisory committee with authority to assist in the said transition. I also understand that probably this is not part of the motion, but probably this transition will take quite some time to fully get it into place. And so I think the committee, with all people that are willing to serve on said committee, would be absolutely paramount to creating a transition and consolidation of this magnitude. Motion number 2. I move that we enter into.
Just for the record. Well, I'm sure Mr. Long said will say what I'm gonna say, so go ahead.
First, can we have a second for the first motion?
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Do I? So yeah, that's my motion.
So first motion to have it start on January 15th and then Andy. That was taken, okay.
Second.
We have a second discussion.
Okay, I got a point. Okay, first and foremost, I saw the article on Saturday. I had no previous knowledge of this, they never contacted me. Whether by phone, voicemail, or text message. And I think this is a big move. And I think there should be some sort of cost assessment first to determine if it will be in fact a cost saving by doing this. I think it's premature at this point to change the operation of the jail before we have all the facts. And we do have time to do this. And I think Commissioner Bierke has talked many times about cost assessments on seeing what it would cost either way, and I think that needs to be done before we make that switch.
I mean, if this was a format that was dysfunctional, I don't think the bulk of the counties in the country would be doing it this way. I sense that if it was smart and wise fiscally to have two separate authorities under this particular two departments, I think the folks that were still running it, like Mayberry and Hazard County, would be the outliers, not us with two departments. I have a hard time even fathoming that a consolidation would not save significant money, much less money, period. I absolutely can't even draw the scenario in my head where this would not be a money save.
Well, that's why I think we should do the assessment, and that's why I bring it up. You know, we've got time to do the cost assessment. And I, at this point, cannot support anything like that right now until I get all the details.
Madam Chair. Just to interject, in response to Commissioner Russell, he and I have chatted, he asked me to conduct some legal research on his proposal. And I had an opportunity to dig into the history and the law. And, you know, I can expand on this if the board wishes, but just one point of clarification. He referenced that most counties do have this duty under the sheriff. And I can kind of explain how the law has evolved over the years, but for most counties, they don't have a choice. It's part of the statutory duty of the sheriff. There isn't discretion. So to kind of help you understand how we got where we are and in the state of the law today, I can kind of explain what some of my research revealed. Ms. Nelson helped me locate some prior meeting minutes and whatnot to help with the historical end of my research. But basically, it isn't new to Grand Forks County to have the jail duties under the role of the sheriff. That was how the setup was prior to 1983. In my review of the meeting minutes and just from institutional knowledge, talking to a number of former attorneys in our office and other professionals at the county, what instigated, so to say, the change to create a jail administrator was that there was a number of issues back in 1983 when the jail was under the sheriff's duty. And on a review of the commission meeting minutes, some of those things were the conditions at which the inmates were housed, the food provided. There were attorneys that sent letters to the county requesting an investigation about concerns of treatment of inmates. There was threats of litigation. I can kind of go on, but I think you kind of get the gist of what put this option on the radar. So at that time, the Attorney General's office with the state came and did an inspection and issued a report relating to the conditions at the correctional center here in Grand Forks. At the same time, then State's Attorney Jim Odegaard made a request of the Attorney General for an Attorney General's opinion as to whether or not the Board of Commissioners could appoint a separate individual to be an administrator of the jail. So taking that out of the purview of the sheriff. The Attorney General at that time issued an opinion saying, yes, that can be done. So speed ahead to, I believe it was 2005, Burleigh County, North Dakota, wanted to do the same with their correctional facility. And between the time of 1983, when the Attorney General issued that original opinion to Grand Forks County, and 2005, when Burleigh County made the request, in that time period, the legislature had tweaked some of the laws that provided the authority that the Attorney General relied on in issuing his opinion to Grand Forks County. So in 2005,
the Wayne Senjum at the time, issued an opinion to Burley County saying, can't do that anymore. That authority that was in the law has now been taken out by the legislature for a variety of reasons, which are kind of irrelevant today. So thereafter, Grand Forks County Board of Commissioners held a special commission meeting where they went into executive session. In that meeting, it was discussed that litigation was threatened. And the question became, does the new opinion of the Attorney General change the authority under which this position had previously been created under the authority of the Attorney General back in 1983? A variety of things were discussed. Then State's Attorney Peter Welty conducted some legal research, and it was discussed at a number of subsequent meetings in 2005 and 2006. And at that time, the decision was made that it wasn't really clear from the 2005 AG's opinion if Grand Forks County could continue having it under a separate authority in light of the change of the law. So what Peter Welty advised the commission was that it was his legal opinion that the Grand Forks Correctional Center could be considered a regional correctional center based on the contracts that were in place at that time with a number of different municipalities and political subdivisions. So under the law at that time, the Attorney General no longer felt that a county could move forward with a separate jail administrator. There was still the authority to have a regional correctional center where the Board of Commissioners could appoint an administrator over a regional correctional center and take that out of the purview of the sheriff. And so at that point in time, the State's Attorney Peter Welty issued the opinion to the board that if they deemed it a regional correctional center, it could be a separate county department with an administrator appointed. And so that's what the board did. They passed a motion in, I'd have to review my notes. I think it was like April of 2006, deeming the facility a regional correctional center based on those contracts that were in place. So then the question that, so to follow back to Commissioner Rustin's comments, I don't think that it's that other counties aren't doing this separation because it doesn't make sense. I think it's that they don't have that authority because maybe they don't have the ability to consider themselves a regional correctional center. And that authority that did exist back in 1982 is kind of off the table for those counties that are looking to do it moving forward. So that's one point of clarification that I thought would be important to raise. The second point is that, so for Grand Forks County, the question becomes today as to how and what process would need to be followed if that consolidation of that appointed and elected position, if the board wished for that to take place. And that's something that isn't very clear in the law. There's, many of you have heard us talk about over the years, the tool chest law that allows any county to combine or separate certain positions. It's not clear if this is the appointed position that would qualify for that tool chest law to apply. I have done some research, but there just isn't much in the legislative history as to what type of county offices do apply for that chapter, and I can continue to do some research if the board wish to.
I got some questions. So are you saying that, based on your research now, you're not sure if we can do it? I want your words clear here. So
No, I'm not sure of the exact process. If
Okay.
the tool chest law applies to this, the tool chest law is clear that it doesn't apply to the sheriff's position. But since the administrator is an appointed position, I'm not sure if that applies. And if it does apply, there's a very specific process that will need to be followed to combine those positions.
Okay, number two, as a home rule, I'm really gonna get into this home rule as time goes along, my friends. Now, in fact, that's, I have a list for you when I meet with you. As a home rule county, what kind of, ability do we have to circumvent all these state rules? Because I know the city does a lot of stuff. They can get a lot of stuff done, because they don't, the state can't say anything to them because they're home rule. So whether it be ordinances or votes of the people, what kind of flexibility do we have with a home rule to get around a lot of this state mandates that are forced upon us, whether it be this, I'll begin to the financials and some other stuff. What about that?
Commissioner Bierke, members of the board, that might provide some clarification. I don't have a firm answer on that, but I certainly can research that as well.
Okay, so, what do you think would be a time frame for you to do this research? Give yourself time. Better to be done on time than promise something you can't deliver. So what do you think?
You know, I've done the bulk of it by looking into what I just explained to the board. You know, I think if there's a committee established, I certainly could report to the committee or whatever the board wishes.
Okay, and so I just want to also put out that, since our department heads report to nobody already, which is the truth. They don't get job reviews. They don't report to anyone. That's how it is right now. So this would be just be putting, I don't know where you're going to go with this, but the current administrator would just be reporting to the sheriff till we had a plan. Right? So, that's where I see it going, but so I don't know how you want to phrase this, because this is yours and it's not my place, but, I would, maybe we want to, form a committee to look into this. And this is not a committee where things go to die. This is a committee where things go to get done. And, we get on this and get an answer back, as soon as possible. So I don't know where you're at, Mr. Rusted. I'm not, it's you.
The formation of the committee, or the committee rather, was part of the original motion. I don't see why that could take place as soon as tomorrow. Just to assign people that are willing to assist on that committee. And
Okay, so if I may, just to clarify then, so if we did this on the motion you're saying, are we doing, all we are doing right then, now then, is would be the jail administrator would fall under the purview of the sheriff. And that's the only change that's going to occur as of right now, while this committee then fleshes out all the details. Is that an accurate statement?
I would say that's accurate.
Okay, so that's where we're at.
We wouldn't.
Is there any issues with that, Mrs. Wamsley? Ms. Wamsley?
Commissioner Bierke, members of the board, thank you for that. That's what needs to be fleshed out. If this tool chest bill applies to this position, there's a very defined process that needs to be followed to combine those roles.
Okay.
So I think we need to flesh that out. I don't think that would prohibit the creation of a committee to start digging into this. Because I think that's a logical step regardless of if it's required by statute or not. And so I think, you know, if the board wishes to move forward with establishing a committee to study this, my legal research could be part of the study and any other things that the board wishes.
Okay. And when you study, can you check the ordinance thing out about it too? Because I'll have more ordinance stuff for you, as far as
You
home
mean
rule.
the home rule?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how that would apply to. So Mr. Rusted, if I may offer a suggestion,
You can amend the motion. if you like.
I'd be happy to withdraw my second, and have a new motion to create a committee to study this issue with the state's attorney, the sheriff, the jail, whoever. I mean, you can, sure, baby. So, if you want to do that, then let's get the ball rolling. there's no point doing it if we're gonna do something illegal. That's not a good way to do things. So, and until we get that answer. So that would be my recommendation if you wanna, so I'll take the second away if you wanna make a new motion as to form a committee to begin the process of this, consolidation.
Why don't you just put that form of motion on?
Okay. All right, then, so that original motion is withdrawn, so the motion would be then for the, side note before I get to that. Well, I mean, there's all these rules, that's the problem with government. The private secretary wouldn't be doing all this. So the chair be putting forth this committee, I don't, so I'm still new, I don't know how you do all this stuff. Does the chair pick these committees? How did that work?
Mr. Bierke, members of the board, if you wish to include in your motion, I think that would be appropriate to include the composition of the committee.
Okay. I'm not really sure who you want, so can I make Mr. Rusted in charge of forming the committee in the motion? Can I do that? Okay, so I would move that Commissioner Rusted would come back to the commission with the names for a committee to study the consolidation of the jail under the sheriff's department.
I'll second that motion.
We have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Is there any against? Motion passed unanimously.
So with that, I move on to part two of this, and I move that we enter into lease negotiations with the State Department of Corrections, otherwise known as DOCR, on the expanded portion of the Grand Forks County Correctional Center for the purposes of behavioral health services, which means basically chemical and mental health services. That's the end of the motion. Reason being, unless my calculator is lying to me, having an expanded jail doesn't do us a whole lot of good if we can't afford to staff. And I also think that because this is specifically for behavioral health, I also feel it meets a need in the area, kind of in so to speak, kills two birds with one stone. And so it helps us financially with receiving lease payment from the state, helps us socially with having these services available in this area, and helps the state with some of their issues that they have with bed space. And so I guess that's my second option.
I'll second that motion. Also, do we need to name the negotiators, or does it assume?
I mean, I think that would be Tom Ford.
Mr. Porter,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
And I got a comment.
All right, first,
Okay.
second, go.
First and foremost, the Department of Corrections, that's, in fact, Burley County's got 110 bed pod that's empty. They can't get workers to fill it. So if DOJ wants to rent a spot, they're the perfect spot for them, and that's right there in Bismarck. The other thing is, Mr. Bertholder has ideas for that expansion to get federal prisoners in there, like open up 22 beds, which the feds pay a lot. And he's also been corresponding with the marshals, the FBI, and Homeland Security to house federal prisoners. And that 22 would generate more than enough money to pay for whatever staffing he's got to have for that facility. So that's my comment. So I just think we need to look at all of this, before.
Well, it's just a motion to negotiate. He's got that, bring that to it. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
I'm fine with
And he should be on the negotiating board too, by the way, I believe.
The negotiating, oh, okay.
Yeah, on Mark's board.
Did you have-
I don't have any other comments. To me, this is just simply dollars and cents, and and need. The jail last year was budgeted to lose like $7 million. And we took federal inmates of that. I don't know how taking 22 more federal inmates suddenly turns this thing around. Whereas this would be a guaranteed annual lease payment from an entity who were pretty crystal clear on who pays their bills. So I guess the motion stands. It has a second. I'm done discussing. I'm ready to vote on it.
Okay, well, I don't think it'll go, but that's fine.
There we go, first and a second. Any other discussion? Great. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Against,
No,
No,
motion passes 3-2 with drops and each the name. Okay. Is that everything you have?
That's it. Thank you for your time. Sorry for being long-winded, everybody.
Right. County administrators. Mr. Ford.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll be brief, just one request and then an update. So the city of East Grand Forks will be applying for another Rebuilding American Infrastructure Sustainability Equity Grant. They applied last year, Polk County, Grand Forks County, City of Grand Forks, along with other partners, put in letters of support for that package. They were not successful, but we received some valuable feedback as to why the application was not successful. That's being addressed. So the city of East Grand Forks is going to apply for another RISE grant. And the intention is to, if successful, would be to start the planning process for a undecided location of a river crossing. So an additional river crossing. So at this point, the city of East Grand Forks is requesting that the county, Grand Forks County, provide a letter of support to go with their application with chair's signature.
I have questions. I hope we realize it's not gonna happen in the city limits. So I hope we're not wasting time and money.
no.
And I'll remind everybody, federal money is my money and it's your money. Number two, so then we're down to Maryfield. All right, and just so, and I'm gonna get on the MPO, so I'll do some more research, but up to 2016, that's when I left my previous government employment. I never saw any data that supported the Maryfield Bridge. And on a side note, even if you get the bridge, you got a long road to build to get to East Grand Forks. So I'll be honest with you, I'm not voting for this. I think it's a waste of money. It's not going to happen in the city limits, and I have not seen. And I'll do more research maybe down the road. But I don't know how much more consultant money we're going to throw on this intercity bridge thing. I mean, these consultants, they should be retired by now. They got so much money. So I'm going to be voting.
All right. Is there
That's the Roland Young Memorial Bridge.
Yes.
you're looking for a motion from the-
Yes, ma'am. Looking for a motion to approve chair's signature on the letter.
I made the motion.
All right, motion on the floor, Mr. Ross, is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Cindy, have a second. All right, is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
My first one.
Alright.
No,
It's to be a team.
Second one.
is it? Oh, I wasn't starting out. Number
Yeah.
two.
Oh,
Meet my pace.
Too bad. Go for that 2-4-1.
So Madam Chair, if I may, just very quickly, an update. So there's been a lot of discussion about encroachment around Grand Forks Air Force Base, recently. And the chamber using state, grant money just included, air and land space encroachment study. And I had shared that with the county commission. For the majority board, in the last budget, part of the budget request was to include a little bit of money to go towards a DoD grant, which Ms. Leon and I were preparing to look into. We do have a meeting with the DoD, the old CC as we call them. We have that meeting coming up. The plan is still move forward with that. We're actually pretty optimistic that we won't need cash with PDB type match, but we're still moving forward with that. I talked to Commissioner Bierke a little bit about that as well. But it will be able to expand on the existing study that was just completed by the chamber. But we're looking at air encroachment, land encroachment, and spectral frequency encroachments as well. So we're gonna get moving on it now, so more to come on that.
All right, can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Another thing, I already mentioned to Mr. Ford, for some reason, the base retention money goes to the chamber. And if the county is spending resources on this issue, I want our pie. I want our slice. If we're expending resources to attempt to do all these reports, and then eventually we're gonna have to do what, if we want to do them, we're gonna have to do something which costs money. So I don't know how we want to do this, but I'm hoping we're looking at, whether it be talking to the chamber or talking to the state to cut out slightly. We need to we should be getting some of that money if we're spending money to doing all this work to mitigate the issues they have, whether it be with towers or cranes or electromagnetic this and that. So if we're doing all this work, I'd like to see us go after that money instead of having the Grand Forks. If the state's setting money aside for this, then they can pay for it instead of the Grand Forks County taxpayers.
So, Madam Chair, I can elaborate on that. So the base retention grant program started in 2013. And it historically went to the county of Grand Forks. It was the last legislative session where it was sent to the Chamber of Commerce. I did visit with them, Commissioner Tigan, as to why that was. And the response I received was because it historically went to the Fargo Chamber and the Minot Chamber, so they wanted to be consistent. But as long as the 12 years I've been here, the county has always supported that and it's usually successful, but for a time it did come to the county and it was changed in the last session.
Well, when you're at the chamber dinner, just bring it up to them.
All right.
We want our money. We got bills to pay.
How do we change it back?
We put it, so I know, I'm talking with Mr. Wilford, they are talking with appropriators about another base retention grant. There isn't a consolidated effort with Minot Fargo. Basically, it would be the county stepping up and saying, we'd like to be the beneficiary of that grant program again.
I'm looking forward to you to stepping up, Mr. Ford.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All you have.
Thank you, ma'am, that's all.
Right, Ms. Wilson? Committee report.
All right.
Are you up, sir?
Yes, I got, go back to the previous meeting. I'd like to make a motion. The HR department replaced a letter of reprimand in the individual personnel file from the earlier discussion.
We have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Can I continue? All right, I have two, so I like to bring these up so everybody knows where I'm going. It's all out in the open. So I got, I'm pacing myself. I got two more for the next meeting. I went on the agenda. Number one, I want to get, Ms. Lean's working on a comprehensive calendar of the massive amount of boards and committees to meet. So I'm gonna, 2 weeks from now, I want to discuss putting that calendar on our county website so the citizens can go fair board, water board, see this, whatever that, day, time, and location of the meeting. So you could look. A lot of them, I think, are second Tuesday of the month, so it's all the same, but the citizens will be able to access a place on our website where they could see any meeting for any board in the county related to the county, their daytime and location of their meeting. So I'd like to see that. And the second thing, that's to you, Mr. Ford. And the second thing to you, Mr. Ford, is I want to put in on the agenda our current policy on citizen speaking at the meeting. In the past, I'll just say it's been inconsistent. I've got some ideas, I think, to tweak it, in my opinion, make it a little better. So I'd like to put that on there so everyone can study it, and then we can discuss it at the next meeting. Right? Thank you.
Sticky? You have?
I have
anything?
nothing to I have nothing to report.
I'm good.
Sure.
We had an EDC meeting. I think they're gonna see a push from them for an additional pipeline. That talk's been going on.
Additional what? I'm sorry.
Pipeline. They're
Okay,
kind of put together a big case for it.
is that the carbon capture pipeline?
Natural gas.
Okay.
Other than that, I passed the MPO baton to Commissioner.
I fired up. I might be able to bicycle. No, I won't bicycle.
Right there. You'll ride the bike to those meetings, no question about it. That's all I have.
Good, and I don't have anything to offer for the good of the group. Unfinished or new business?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, it's just informational. It's a meeting, a kickoff meeting you could attend if you so choose. The regional livestock development and planning here. Madam Chair, members of the commission, you could run and be on the board if you want.
And correspondence?
I think there is one more thing is something that's on the agenda, but I think there is a solid waste management permit that was issued and we were notified.
Anything else for the good of the group?
I move adjournment. Second.
Good first and a second, all in favor?
Right.
Bye.